Hi, everybody. Hello, good afternoon, good morning still, actually. My name is Ida Cutler. I'm a bookseller at Women and Children First, one of the last remaining feminist bookstores in the United States. We're located in Chicago, for those of you joining us from other places. Thank you so much for being with us here virtually this afternoon. Before every event, we acknowledge that the land that Women and Children First is situated on is the land of several tribal nations, the Potawatomi, Ojibwe, Odawa, the Sac, Fox, Miamia, Ho-Chunk, and Menominee. We recognize these nations as the traditional occupants of the land and the land's importance for the 65,000 indigenous peoples still living here today. Furthermore, it's in WCF's mission to use books as tools for liberation and amplify unrepresented voices. With this land acknowledgement, we recognize the importance of providing books that include information on the ongoing legacies of Indigenous peoples, as well as their dispossession and the white settler colonialism that our store has benefited from. On to the event for this afternoon. Not tonight. It's still 11:40. It's my honor to be hosting the release of IntersectionAllies or InterseccionAlianza, Hacemos Espacio Para Todxs. I got them both right here. I have with me the authors of this book. We have LaToya Council, Chelsea Johnson, Carolyn Choi, and the translator of today's event, Karina Santayeno. Before we begin, I would like to say if you have yet to order the book, you can do so at any time at womenandchildrenfirst.com or by clicking that teal button that you see below the screen, Buy Book Here. We are currently offering both curbside pickup and shipping, and also we are open for in-store pickup as well. You can learn more about our hours and how to do all of that on our website. During the event, there's going to be a Q&A at the end, so be sure to ask a question by clicking that Ask a Question button or just dropping it in the chat. At every event I've done, everybody hesitates on asking a question, and there's always this awkward moment where we're like, ask a question, everybody. So I empower you to just ask the question now. If you have it, don't be shy. You can't be seen, so there's really no no risk, right? That's all I have to say. I'm going to get off the screen. I'm very excited for this reading today. Thank you all so much for being here.
Okay, Carolyn, do you want to share the screen really quickly, and then I'll open us up.
I'm not seeing the screen. Are you seeing it, Carolyn? Hold on. Tech life. That's true. What a great moment to ask a question. Is it showing up for you, Carol? 1 second. Okay. I can also try alternatively. Should I try? Or LaToya? Because I know you have 2 screens. Let me see what I can do. Because I was screen share last time. Oh, there we go. Amazing.
All right. Bienvenidos, bienvenidos. Hola Todxs. Bienvenidos a la lectura en voz alta de Interseccionalianza. Hacemos Espacio Para Todxs. We will begin with a love yourself warm-up exercise. So can all of my young folks, los jóvenes, stand up and shake it out with me. And I'm going to shake in the chair because I have on these headphones and I'm very klutzy and I'll go to the floor if I don't. And so I want you to take your hands and wave them out in front of you like this. And then I want you to wave to your neighbor on your right. Say, hi, neighbor. And then I want you to wave to your neighbor on your left. Hi, neighbor. And then I want you to take those same two hands that are wiggling out in front of you. And I want you to wrap them around your body and just give yourself a big squeeze like this. And then I want you to take those same two hands and I want you to put a smile on your face. Bienvenidos, bienvenidos, bienvenidos. Welcome to today's event, and you are now officially members of the CLC Fan Club. All right, Carolyn, take it away.
I will actually take it away. So, hola, me llamo Chelsea. My name is Chelsea. My pronouns are she, her, and ella. We'll do a round of introductions first. You are speaking to CLC Collective, plus our really great friend and colleague, Karina. And we are three feminist sociologists who came together to write a children's book together. So I am actually also from Chicagoland. Soy de Chicago, pero vivo in Minneapolis now. I am, like Karina, LaToya, and Carolyn, a sociologist. So you may have heard the word scientist before. I am a social scientist. So scientists don't just make rockets or work with chemicals. They also study people. And I am a social scientist that studies people for companies and how we can make a better world for everyone on the internet. I'm going to kick it over next to LaToya to introduce herself. LaToya, you're muted.
Hola, me llamo LaToya, and my pronouns are she, her, and ella. I am also a social scientist, and I'm working on my dissertation on families at the University of Southern California.
Hola, soy Carolyn, and I use the pronouns she, hers, and ella. I'm born and raised in sunny Los Angeles, where I met my sisters LaToya, Karina, and Chelsea a decade ago now. Wow, it's been a long time. In Spanish, Los Angeles means the city of angels. I'm also a social scientist, like Miss Chelsea, and I work instead for universities, where I do research and teach on education. How about you, Karina?
Hi, everyone. My name is Karina Santillano. My pronouns are she, her, and ella. Right now I live in Los Angeles as well. I'm also getting my doctorate, mi doctorado. But I'm from San Diego originally. So I love Southern California, and I'm excited to join you today and join Chicago today as we read InterseccionAlianza.
Can everyone hear me? Great. So our book is about intersectionality and allyship. To write our book, we remembered our experiences growing up as kids who did not always get to read books with characters that looked like us. Many of our childhood books were about boys. And when books we read were about girls, they were only showed girls who were dressed up like princess characters. And as social scientists, we usually write books for adults. But we wanted to help create characters who share some of our and our friends' experiences growing up. So we wanted to create characters that come from many backgrounds and identities. So writing this book showed that our experiences mattered too. So kids like us and not like us can all relate to each other and love one another, which makes us all stronger and better. So since we've wrote the book, what's been going on with us? Well, before the pandemic, we had this amazing opportunity to go on a book tour and visit schools and libraries and book cafes all over in places like Los Angeles, DC, New York, Chicago, Atlanta. And in each of these places, we met kids just like you, and adults too, had lots of deep and powerful conversations about our experiences growing up, what's going on in the world, and a lot of other real topics. Now we visit classrooms and bookstores through Zoom and Google Meets to talk about what it means to be an ally right now and today in this moment, and how to do good in the world, and how to love and appreciate ourselves.
In 2020, we received so much support and positive feedback about Intersection Allies, including a request to translate the book in Spanish. And after hearing from members of Latinx communities about the important message of intersectionality and the way it has been presented in our book and its impact in communities, we wanted to challenge ourselves to meet the moment by reaching more communities and folks through the Spanish translation. And as social justice scholars, it is important for us to use our voice and work to reach entire households. And so we connected with Dr. Dario Valles, a sociolinguistic scholar and the translator of IntersectionAllies. And as you may have already noticed, our translator, Dr. Dario, intentionally replaced non-gender inclusive language with gender-neutral language. And this is indicated by the use of the X, like Todxs. We see the use of gender-neutral language not as the last word on language, but as an opportunity to challenge, discuss, and think about these norms. InterseccionAlianza includes a translator's note that deeply discusses these important choices made by Dr. Dario. So grab your copies, you eager beavers, so you can read the translator's note on the back.
All right. Enough talking. Let's get to the fun part. Karina is going to read the book in Espanol, and LaToya is going to read the book in English. We'll pause every once in a while to talk about what we're hearing. And since I know some of you may have read the book in English before, or may be new to it, I want to help guide your listening and to listen for 1, 2, and 3. Do you relate to any of the characters? Which ones and why? How does culture and ancestry shape the stories that you hear? And why does allyship matter? So allyship may be an unfamiliar word to some, but it's kind of like friendship. And we're going to learn a lot about it through the characters today. So what examples of friendship do you see? All right, without further ado, take it away, Karina.
Mira las vidas de un grupo de amiguex. Si una necesita, los demás participan. La edad es un aspecto que cada una de ellas comparte, pero las vidas de jóvenes son tan distintas como ya luego aprenderán. Cada niñex tiene su historia y su punto de vista, lleno de pasión y con potencia como tú.
Witness the lives of a bold group of friends. If one is in need, another defends. Age is one trait that each of them share, but kids' lives are unique, as you'll soon be aware. Each child has a story and their own point of view, filled with passion and power, just like you.
Mi nombre es Alejandra, pero me dicen Ale. Uso una silla, lo cual no me define. En cambio, me permite ¡zas!, volar y jugar. Cuando necesito avanzar, las amigas me ayudan a tomar un paso.
My name is Alejandra, but I go by Ali. I use a chair, but it doesn't define me. Instead, it allows me to zip, glide, and play. When I need to get through, friends help make a way.
Donde hay espacio para algunos, hacemos espacio para todos. La amistad puede ser una alianza, no importa tu tamaño.
Where there's room for some, we make room for all. Friends can be allies, no matter how small.
Hola, soy Parker. Después de la escuela todos los días, la familia de Ale nos cuida a los dos mientras jugamos. Mi mamá trabaja duro para mantenerme. For some reason, I can't see the second line. Because I think everyone's video is blocking it. If someone can read the second line.
I'll read it for you. Mi mamá trabajó duro. Oh, are you on the right page? Oh, su amor es la fuente de nuestra estabilidad.
Gracias, Chelsea. Okay. Ni los juguetes, ni el dinero, ni los tesoros no contados. El cuidado comunitario es más precioso que el oro.
Maybe, but does everyone see that? Hello, I'm Parker. After school every day, Allie's family takes care of us both while we play. My mom works hard to provide for me. Her love's the source of our stability. Not toys or money, nor treasures untold. Community care is more precious than gold.
Las fardas y los adornos son lindos, supongo, pero mi capa de superhéroe es más Kate que esos moños. Algunos pueden ser confundidos que un niño como yo pueda ponerse lo que desea y estar orgullosos y sin preocupaciones. Mis amigas defienden mis opciones y derechos. Un baño, como todos los lugares, debería ser un espacio seguro.
Skirts and frills are cute, I suppose, but my superhero cape is more cape than those bows. Some may be confused that a kid like me can wear what I want and be proud and carefree. My friends defend my choices in place. A bathroom like all rooms should be a safe space.
All right, let's take a moment to talk a little bit about what we learned just now. So I identify as a woman and I use she, her, and ella pronouns, but our friend Kate, however, is non-binary, which means they feel both masculine and feminine. I say they because Kate prefers the pronoun they, their, them, and we respect Kate's choice in pronouns by saying Kate's cape makes them feel strong. All right, back to you, Karina.
Me llamo Adila Y al igual que Kate, lo que llevo puesto inspira un debate constante. Algunos donan, algunos recitan, algunos cantan y otros rezan. Mi IA es mi decisión. Puedes elegir tu propio camino.
My name is Adila, and just like Kate, what I wear inspires endless debate. Some give, some chant, some sing, some pray. My hijab is my choice. You can choose your own way.
La ropa que llevas nunca justifica el odio. La ropa puede ser divertida, sencilla o sagrada, cubierta, adornada o con toque de estilo. Mi cuerpo es mío, lo visto con cariño.
The clothes that you wear never justify hatred. Clothes can be playful, simple, or sacred, covered, adorned, or with casual flair. My body's my own. I dress it with care.
Okay, so every culture and community gives meaning to clothing, to dress, and to style. And one way to gain respect for different groups of people around the world is to think about why their clothing is important to them. So when thinking about something I wear that's really important to me and shows who I am, I wear my mom's wedding ring as an heirloom that I really love and appreciate. What about you, LaToya? What's something that you wear that shows who you are?
Oh, thank you for that question. So something I wear that shows who I am is actually on my head, my locks. So my locks are very much a part of the Black American culture, the African American culture, and the diaspora all over. And it really makes me proud when I shake them around and know that I'm honoring something that's so important to my people and people who look like me.
Oh,
How about you,
back.
Karina?
For me, I wear this bracelet that used to belong to my grandma who passed when I was in high school. And she lived with us growing up, so she was my best friend. And I wear the bracelet every day just because it gives me a lot of security and comfort, right? It's almost like she's holding my hand as I go about my life. And it's a way I remember her. So it's very, very special to me. What about you, Carolyn?
Oh, thanks for sharing that. That was so sweet. For me, I every Lunar New Year actually, which is around February or March, in Korean culture, we wear something called a hanbok, which is a traditional gown, and we wear it and do traditional bows to our grandparents, our parents, and also our ancestor shrines to respect them and also wish them a good life, afterlife. And after that, we get money from that. They give us a little bit of allowance to get us through the year. And so hanbok is very special to me because, we used to get allowance as kids, and that was really special.
I love that. I love that. All right, Karina, back to you.
Mi nombre es Naya y con lo que hay en las noticias es fácil asustarse y cantar el blues. Para ella, para ellas, para él y para mí, todos merecemos respirar y ser libres.
My name is Naya, and with what's on the news, it's easy to be frightened or sing the blues. For her, for them, for him, and for me, we all deserve to breathe and be free.
El color de nuestra piel no es razón para esconderse. Protestamos por la seguridad, la igualdad y el orgullo LGBT. Nuestras amigas se unen en solidaridad y amor. Esto es lo que están hechos las alianzas.
The color of our skin is no reason to hide. We protest for safety, equality, and pride. Our friends join along in solidarity and love. This is the stuff that allies are made of.
La seguridad también incluye nuestros árboles y el aire. La tierra que hemos llamado nuestra ex casa, nuestros lugares de oración. Soy Dakota y como mis antepasados, mi tribu y yo somos protectores del agua. De las ganancias y el poder nos levantamos para preservar nuestras naciones, nuestras culturas y el respeto que merecemos.
Safety also includes our trees and air, the land we've called home, our places of prayer. I am Dakota, and like my ancestors, my tribe and I are water protectors. From profit and power, we stand up to preserve our nations, our cultures, and the respect we deserve.
Okay, so we are hearing a lot of names in this book. So Dakota, many of them have special meanings, like Dakota, which means friend or ally in the Lakota Sioux language. Nia's name means purpose in Swahili, which is a language that's commonly spoken in East Africa in places like Kenya. And Adila in Arabic means justice or righteous. So many of us have names that have special meaning that reflect the wishes our parents had for us or ties to our ancestors. So my middle name, for example, is Elise. It was my mom's middle name growing up, but when she got married, she replaced Elise with her maiden name because it was important for her to keep that in her name so that people that she went to a women's college could find her. A lot of people got lost because they replaced their maiden names, but she really missed the name Elise. And so when I was born, she gave it to me because she wanted to preserve a beautiful name that she felt connected to. What about you, Carolyn? What's special about your name? Can you tell us?
Yes. So I actually have two first names. So Carolyn is one, but my Korean name is Autumn, and it means cold and crisp, beautiful skies. And so although Carolyn is my legal American name, Autumn is very meaningful to me, very special to me. And although it's not used like on documents and stuff like that, it's used in my family. Everybody knows me as Autumn, my mom, my grandma, and it's our little secret name, like nickname, pet name that we use in our family. And so very special to me. How about you, LaToya?
Oh, yes. Well, my name is LaToya, and I really love my name. And I'll tell you a fun fact in a moment. But I want to tell you a little story first. Yes, I tell stories. So when I was growing up, I didn't always like my name. Well, you might wonder why. Because the town I lived in, a lot of the kids that I played with always asked me, why is your name LaToya? And sometimes they would say things like, why do Black people name their kids names like that? And it made me feel like my name was bad or wrong. And even some people even use the word ghetto, Ghetto. And so I didn't embrace my name. But as I've gotten older, I've learned to embrace my name because it's my name, number one, but also it's special and unique to me. Now, this is where the fun fact comes in, because I've never been in a space with more than one LaToya. So if your name is LaToya, please type it in the chat right now. Exactly. I'm still the only person in the room with the name LaToya. How about you, Karina?
Thanks, LaToya. Yeah, so my full name is Karina Santillano, and I love my first name, Karina, or my mom calls me Cari for short. And I love it because it reflects my Mexican ancestry. And I also love my last name, Santillano. I think in the past, they used to annoy me that it was, I believe, 10 letters, and I would have to fill in all the bubbles when we were doing testing. But I've really come to like it now because it makes me unique. People know which Karina they're referring to. And I love thinking about continuing the Santillano line in the future, hopefully when I have kids. So, or somehow in that way. Me llamo Gloria y tengo 7 años. Después de la escuela, a la frutería me voy, trabajando cada día junto a mi madre. Vendemos piña dulce y mango con chile. Mi idioma y mi inteligencia nos permiten prosperar. Tengo esperanzas y sueños y aptitudes y ganas. Trabajar juntos nos hace a ambos más seguros. Soy una hija, una compañera y una empresaria.
I love all the pages, but Gloria is an entrepreneur. Well, my name is Gloria y tengo 7 años. After school is to la frutería I go. Trabajo cada día junto a mi madre. Vendemos piña dulce y mangos con chile. My language and savvy allow us to thrive. I've got hopes and dreams and skills and drive. Working together makes us both more secure. I'm a daughter, a partner, and an entrepreneur. Go, Gloria.
I know. I love that. So empowering. So we heard some languages. Gloria is bilingual. I know this is a bilingual kids event, so I'm sure many of you here are also bilingual. And bilingual means speaking 2 languages. Multilingual means speaking even more than 2 languages. So Gloria speaks Spanish and English. Does anyone here speak another language or 2 languages? Raise your hand here of us. Do any of you all speak 2 languages? Ooh, I see 2. Okay. If we have some guests here, put it in the chat. But first, Carolyn, what languages do you speak?
I speak English and Korean, and a little bit of German.
A little bit of German. Okay, what about you, Karina?
English, Spanish, and a little bit of Portuguese. I studied abroad in Brazil, and Portuguese was the language I chose in college to study.
I love that. I see Emma Veronica here also speaks Espanol. That's amazing. I see some bilingualness just in the way that you answered that. Yes, and Espanol. I speak a little bit of American Sign Language because many people in the church that I grew up in were deaf. And so I learned to sign. And later we'll learn a little bit of ASL together. All right. Well, let's keep it moving. Back to you, Karina.
Me llamo Hee-Jung y nací en Seoul. Me mudé aquí cuando tenía 5 años. Soy parte de lo que se llama la generación 1.5. Mis padres y yo extendemos ambas naciones. Como Gloria, ayudo a mi madre traduciendo para ella una palabra a otra. Cuando el propietario le dice a mamá, ¿puedes pagarme el próximo viernes? Repito en coreano, Oma rentu tanju kamyo ide na tot tende. Navegamos juntos por la vida en nuestro nuevo hogar, porque las niñas son capaces de hacer que cada día sea mejor.
My name is Hee Jung, and I was born in Seoul. I moved here when I was 5 years old. I'm part of what's called the 1.5 generation. My parents and I span 2 different nations. Like Gloria, I am a help to my mother by translating for her one word to another. When the landlord tells mom, you can pay me next Friday, I repeat in Korean, Oma rentu tamju gamyoi nadotende. We navigate life in our new home together because kids have the skills to make every day better.
So we just added another language to our list. Okay, we just all learned some Korean. Do you all want to learn Korean today? Carolyn can help us.
Yeah, so the most important word in the Korean language is I love you, 사랑해. And Hee-jung says this to her mom all the time. And so we also show 사랑해 through non-vocal cues, including these hearts and this heart. So we say that together. Should we say 사랑해 together? Let's break it down. 사, 랑,
rang,
해.
hey.
Let's say it all together with the non-vocal cues. 사랑해.
사랑해.
사랑해. Amazing. Thank you. Do you all want to learn 사랑해 in American Sign Language?
I can take that one. Okay, so 사랑해 or I love you in ASL looks like this. So this is also I, the letter I in ASL. This is the letter L for love, and this is the letter Y. So I love you is actually all 3 of those letters together. So 사랑해, and when people say I love you, you can wave it back. That means I love you too. So 사랑해 LaToya, 사랑해 Karina, 사랑해 Carolyn.
사랑해.
Mi nombre es Yuri y soy nuevo en este país. La familia de Hee-jung me recibió con amor y con gracia. Encontrar refugio significaba viajar lejos de casa. Navegué, volé, viajé y recorrí. Escapando de la violencia, la guerra, la angustia y la intrusión. Vinimos a este país buscando sueños y inclusión.
My name is Yuri, and I'm new to this place. Hee-jung's family welcomed me with love and with grace. Finding refuge meant traveling far from home. I sailed, I flew, I rode, and I roamed. Escaping violence, war, heartache, and intrusion. We came to this nation seeking dreams and inclusion.
So Yuri, Gloria, and Hee-jung's stories are all about migration. And migration means moving from one land to another. So each of these 3 characters live in a place that's different from where their ancestors, our older people, and their family are from. So all of us have ancestors, and their stories help make us who we are. When we look back to the past, we understand our present. So my ancestors, for example, are from West Africa. They arrived in the United States several centuries ago with the transatlantic slave trade as slaves, and most of them lived in the South, in places like Georgia and Mississippi until the 1950s. So in my mom's generation, many of them moved to the Midwest and to states like Illinois, where you are, or Michigan, or Minnesota. And we call that the Great Migration. Now, oftentimes people talk about the Great Migration as people moving for opportunity. And certainly that was true. There was a lot of industry happening in the North. but oftentimes people were refugees. Like my grandfather, who was living in Atlanta, Georgia, signing people up to vote. And there was a lot of resistance to Black people being able to vote in the South like there is today. Many of you have probably heard about some of those laws, again, being passed in places like Georgia. And so the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, actually threatened to hurt my grandfather. So he packed a bag in the middle of the night, had to leave his wife and my aunts and uncles at home until they could make it after him a few months later. And that is how I came to grow up and live in Chicago, Illinois. So I know many of us have stories like that. If you don't know yours, you can ask your parents or your grandparents or do some research. And Carolyn and Karina really generously agreed to share a little bit of their migration stories with you. So Karina, do you want to go first?
Sure. Yes. So as I mentioned earlier, my parents are from Mexico. So I'm Mexican American or Chicanx. And my parents and my dad's parents and my uncle came to the US from Mexico in the 1980s. They lived in Florida for a while, picking oranges in Homestead, Florida. And then they moved to Indiana, where my uncle started to build a home and have a family. And my dad really did not like the cold in Indiana. He did not like the snow. And so he decided to move to San Diego, where we had some family, and my grandparents followed. So San Diego became home. And that is how I have family in the Midwest as well, and how my dad has memories of Florida as well. So yeah, that's my migration story. How about you, Carolyn?
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Chelsea and Karina. So I'm Korean American, and my parents are from Korea. My dad was born in Seoul, like Hijang, and my mom was born in Busan. And they met actually through an arranged marriage. And so my dad's family immigrated to the US after 1965, when the racial quotas were lifted against Latinx, Asia Pacific, African countries. And so that's when my dad's family immigrated to the States. And then with my mom, she came in the 80s when there was a peak in women-led immigration, actually. Nurses and care workers, and my mom was part of that. And that's how she was arranged to my dad. They were very shy around each other in the beginning, but they made it work for a little bit. And yeah, that's how they came together and immigrated to this place and had me and my sister. And I'm really proud of that history.
I love that. We learn so much about ourselves and from each other, from understanding our past. And that's why I think it's so beautiful also that this event opened with an acknowledgement of the land that we live on now, and how important it is to notice that, to acknowledge that, to make space for that, and our own part in that history. So, all right, back to you, Karina.
De cerca, de lejos, de aquí, de allá, somos más que nuestros orígenes. Todos merecemos protección.
From near, from far, from here, from there, we're more than our origins. We all deserve care.
Raza, religión, ciudadanía, clase y capacidad. Cada una de ellas se intersecta para formar una identidad. La edad, el género, el tamaño y el color de la piel también. Puede hacer que la vida sea diferente para un ex-amiguex que para ti.
Race, religion, citizenship, class, and ability. Each of these intersects to form identity. Age, gender, size, and skin color too, can make living life different for a friend than for you.
So diversity means having a group where there are many differences that coexist, like you see here. So the hands on this page have many different skin tones, some light, some brown, some with henna, some with jewelry and adornment, like the bracelet that Karina wears that belonged to her grandmother. And we also see saranghae here, I love you, in ASL.
Las barreras y los prejuicios suelen ser los culpables. Nos esforzamos por la igualdad, pero no la conformidad. Los altibajos de la vida pueden tomar muchas formas, pero estando juntos, cambiamos las normas.
Barriers and biases are often to blame. We strive to be equal, but not all the same. Life's ups and downs can take many forms, but standing together will rewrite the norms.
So viewers, if you want to read aloud with me as I read this, go for it. Donde hay espacio para algunos, hacemos espacio para todxs. La amistad puede ser una alianza, no importa tu tamaño.
And for our allies in the room, here we go. Where there's room for some, we make room for all. Friends can be allies, no matter how small.
Elfine, so I know we started a little bit late and we might be over time. So let me know if we have a little bit of time to unpack what intersectionality and allyship are. If not, we can just squeeze towards Q&A. So let me know. Go for it? Okay, perfect. All right. So we'll be quick and wrapping it up, but this part I think is a nice little wrap up to just make sense of what you heard. Okay, so IntersectionAllies or InterseccionAlianza is a book about allyship, which means doing your part to make sure that those around you feel safe, feel included, and feel valued. And it doesn't just mean noticing when people feel scared or left out, but actively doing something to change the situation. So it is an action. Making room is an action and it takes practice. When you first learn about making room, you make mistakes. But like brushing your teeth, you get better and better at it with practice. You have to do it over and over again for your classrooms, your friend groups, your communities to be healthy. And when you make a mistake, and we always will, we are human, allyship means saying, I'm sorry, and putting into practice to try and not make the same mistake again. It means asking people what they need and being respectful if that's different from what you thought it might mean for you. So that means allyship can take different forms. What you need to feel safe and included may be different than what a friend needs. And as you saw, each of the characters needed something different, helped in different ways. And that's what takes us to the really important topic of intersectionality. So Carolyn, can you tell us a little bit about what that means?
Sure, my pleasure. So this book is about intersectionality, as many of you might have already picked up. But what is intersectionality? Well, intersectionality sounds like a really big word, but it really isn't. Intersectionality is an idea that helps feel strong and be empowered by all the things that make us us. For me, for instance, it's my race as a Korean American, my gender as a woman, my ability as someone with dyslexia, and even the love for my senior dog, Mr. Bobo's. This is all the things that make me me. And it also helps us see what's different and beautiful in others and help us relate to each other across these differences. So it's a really special word. What it means to be a kid can be different depending on where you're from, what you look like, how much money you have, your skills, all of these things that you saw in the book. That's why I relate to Gloria the most, because I grew up helping my parents at the liquor store that they worked. And for me, making room meant helping shelve goods, break down boxes for my parents, sometimes translating for them, and doing my part to make the business thrive and make their way in this new country, where immigrants often struggle to participate fully in American society. How about you, LaToya?
Uh-oh, you're muted.
You're on mute. Yeah.
Sorry, everyone. Intersectionality is important to me, and I learned about it in undergrad at Spelman College first. And when I think about the characters in the book that I relate to, I relate with many of them, but one stands out the most, and that's Kate. And if we can remember, Kate goes by gender-neutral pronouns, they, them. And Kate's page is special because Kate's friends were helping them make room and being an ally in terms of bathroom safety. And while I don't identify with gender neutral pronouns, or nor do I need my friends to make room for me in terms of bathroom safety, I do know what it feels like to have your friends show up for you and make room for you at the intersection of how you show up in your body. How do I know that? Well, I identify as a fat Black woman in my activist circles. And yes, I'm okay with people saying that. Now, that doesn't mean you go up and call your friends fat. You ask them first if they identify with that identity. And my friends, Chelsea, Carolyn, and Karina, among many others, always make sure that when we go out, that room is being made for me and how I show up in my body. What about you, Chelsea? Who do you relate to?
Yeah, so I really relate to Naya's character. Now, you might remember her. She was really scared of what she saw in the news. And her community had a lot of police in it. Some of you here might have seen very similar scenes on your television over the last several years, as those experiences with police brutality have gotten more press. I actually currently live in Minneapolis, where George Floyd was killed. I moved there right afterwards because my partner's family is from there, and his neighborhood was really in flames during the uprising. And so we moved to be closer to family. And one of the reasons why it was so special for us to go back is because Minneapolis really came together over that tragedy. And as you saw in Naya's page, all of her friends were there. Alejandra was there, Parker was there, Kate was there. They all came together in solidarity, which means coming together across difference for a common goal. And I saw that in my community in Minneapolis. The Indigenous community was there, the Latinx community was there together because they also face similar situations at the hands of the law. And so not only do I relate to feeling scared, I understand what that feels like, but I also relate to having people in my community who don't look like me come together. And that's so, so important. And I really feel what the power of allyship can do, especially a year later. So what about you, Karina? Do any characters stand out to you?
Mm-hmm. For me, Gloria and Yuri resonate with me because as a kid, and even now as a 27-year-old woman, I still translate for my parents, especially my mom, whose name is Gloria, actually. So this is kind of funny that the role is reversed. But growing up, I did have to translate for her at stores, in the doctor's office, at school. And I'm wondering about if anyone, if any of the viewers relate to this experience about being a young child and trying to translate really hard topics and jargon to parents, right? It's a very interesting experience that makes you grow up a lot faster than perhaps other children. But yeah, so for you, Yuri and Gloria are my girls here.
I like that. Okay.
Oh, I want to go back just one more thing that's important. So each of us have privileges and challenges or things that sometimes make our lives feel unfair. And we can use our privilege. We all have privilege. So for me, I often use my status as a citizen to help my friends who don't have status, make it safe for them and their families to live and to go to school here. Some of us use our privilege, as LaToya mentioned, of having a bathroom to go to in public to make bathroom spaces accessible for people of all genders. And then other sorts of privileges that we might reflect on together include money, include time, include our physical abilities, our voice. So when we can speak up, we should speak up. All right, so that is the end for us. I know we're just a few minutes over time, but if you all have questions for us, these are some questions we tend to get a lot if you want to get that started. But we wanted to save a little time to hear from you and what stood out to you. So if you want to know anything, throw it in the chat. Maybe I'll kick us off for just one. Will there be another book? LaToya, will there be?
Yes, there will be another book. The second book that we're writing is a family's book, and it's called IntersectionAllies, We Love Without Bounds, and it's looking at how the meaning of love and family shows and how it shows up in families' lives looks different at their different intersections. So stay tuned for that for next year. Oh, yes. And I am an expert on families, and that's my dissertation topic.
I had to shout it out because I'm proud of my friend. Well, we can also throw it back to wrap it up. So let us know what you would like. Ida, maybe we'll throw it back to you.
Sounds good. Thank you all so much. Thank you so much for coming back, or for coming on. And I just really appreciate having this book here at Women and Children First. It's been awesome. We've recommended it already to so many families, and now we're recommending it to everyone watching now. So if you haven't bought the book, please do so, and have a great rest of your afternoon. And we'll see you around virtually, hopefully in person soon too. Thank you all so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. Take care, everyone. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.
Adios.